There are moments in life that carry more meaning than we often realize. Moments when two souls connect beyond the surface. When a man enters a woman, it is not just a physical act. It is the meeting of energies, of emotions, of trust. It is a space where everything that is hidden begins to show itself. When a man is truly aware, he feels more than touch. He feels responsibility. He feels the weight of being allowed into a sacred space, one that holds both power and vulnerability. It is not only about pleasure, but about presence. When his mind is quiet and his heart open, he can sense the energy exchange that happens. It is silent yet deeply alive. A man who enters with only desire will leave empty. A man who enters with respect will feel transformed. Because the body may connect for a moment, but the energy connects far beyond that moment. The question is not what he does, but who he becomes in that act. Does he take, or does he give? Or does he seek control? Or does he surrender to the flow of trust? True connection begins when both understand that this meeting is not ownership, not conquest, but harmony. When he enters with awareness, he learns that this moment reflects his entire being, his presence, his patience, his peace. The energy he brings will echo in her and return to him multiplied. So what a man really feels depends on who he is within. If his heart is open, he feels unity. If his mind is closed, he feels nothing. Every act of intimacy is a mirror. It shows him whether he is still searching for something outside, or has finally found peace within. True connection begins when presence replaces desire. Many people believe that closeness between two souls is built only on attraction or chemistry. But in truth, the foundation of real connection is something much deeper. When a man enters a woman, if his mind is driven by desire alone, he may touch her body but never reach her being. Desire is fleeting, it burns quickly and fades, leaving only emptiness behind. Presence, however, is timeless. It carries awareness, gentleness, and depth. It allows two souls to meet without fear or judgment. Presence means being fully awake in the moment. It means not being lost in fantasy or memory, not trying to achieve or control, but simply being there, feeling, breathing, sensing every heartbeat, every emotion, every movement of energy between two people. When a man is present, his focus shifts from what he wants to what he feels. He begins to sense the sacredness of the space he has entered. He feels the life energy of another human being and becomes responsible for the way he touches it. Desire alone is about taking, while presence is about giving and receiving equally. When a man enters with desire, he often seeks to fill a void within himself. He tries to prove something, to escape loneliness, or to find validation. But when he enters with presence, he no longer seeks to gain. He seeks to share. His awareness creates a silent balance, a peace that both can feel. In that state, the physical act becomes something much more profound. It becomes a communication without words, a harmony between energies that do not need to be forced or explained. Presence requires stillness. It asks the man to quiet the noise of his mind, the endless thoughts, fears, and expectations. In that silence, he begins to listen not only to his own heartbeat, but also to hers. He begins to move in rhythm with something larger than both. The experience turns from an act into an expression of understanding. When he looks at her not as a body but as a soul, when he breathes with her, when he slows down enough to feel everything, the connection becomes alive. When presence replaces desire, the need to dominate disappears. Control fades, and humility takes its place. There is no rush, no pressure, no performance, only a dance of trust. The energy flows naturally because there is no pretending, no hiding. He begins to see that intimacy is not about how much he can do, but how deeply he can feel. It is not about effort, but about surrender. In this state, even a single moment can feel infinite. Every breath becomes sacred. Every heartbeat echoes with gratitude. He no longer chases pleasure because he has already found it in awareness itself. That awareness awakens something in her too. a sense of being truly seen, truly respected, and safe to open. She does not have to protect herself, because his energy holds calmness. That calmness tells her that this connection is not a transaction, but a union of souls. Presence also reveals truth. It shows what is hidden beneath the surface. If there is fear, it surfaces. If there is love, it deepens. If there is emptiness, it becomes visible. Presence has no disguise. It shows the real emotions both carry within. This honesty can be uncomfortable, but it is also freeing, because only in truth can two people connect without illusion. When a man learns to be present, he discovers that the act of entering someone's body is not just physical. It is spiritual. It is a reflection of how he enters the world, how he treats life, and how he respects what he does not own. The awareness he brings to this moment mirrors his overall state of being. If he is grounded, she feels it. If he is lost, she senses it. Energy never lies. Through presence, he learns that connection is not something he can create by force. It blooms naturally when he becomes still enough to feel it. The warmth, the closeness, the peace, all arise when he no longer tries to make anything happen. In that silence, he realizes that the body is only a doorway. What lies beyond is far greater. And when that realization dawns, desire transforms into devotion. The meeting of bodies becomes the meeting of souls. The moment no longer ends when the act is over, because the energy remains. It lingers as a quiet echo of awareness, reminding both that they have touched something eternal. When presence replaces desire, what remains is truth. A man's depth is revealed in how he honors sacred energy. Every moment of intimacy carries an unseen current, something beyond the physical. It is not just touch or movement, it is a meeting of energies that can either heal or harm. When a man enters a woman, he steps into a sacred space, one that holds her emotions, her memories, and her life force. The way he approaches that space shows who he truly is inside. His depth is not measured by his strength or desire, but by his awareness, his respect, and his ability to hold that energy with care. To honor sacred energy, a man must first understand it. He must learn to see beyond form, beyond the outer appearance, and sense the living presence that flows through every part of her being. This awareness does not come from experience, it comes from stillness. When he is still enough to feel rather than think, he begins to recognize that intimacy is not only an act of pleasure, but an exchange of energy, trust, and emotion. In that moment, every action carries meaning, every breath becomes part of a shared rhythm. Many enter the body but forget the soul. They focus on sensation but miss connection. True depth arises when a man knows that what he touches is not only flesh but spirit. The sacred energy of a woman is sensitive and powerful. It responds not to the noise of desire but to the peace of presence. When she feels that peace, she opens. When she senses respect, she trusts. And when trust exists, both energies begin to merge in harmony. Honoring sacred energy means entering with humility. It means recognizing that this moment is not about taking something, but about giving something valuable. Attention, care, presence. A man who truly honors this energy moves with awareness. He does not rush. He does not force. He listens to her breath, to her silence, to her unspoken language. In that listening, he becomes more human, more alive. His depth is not found in how much he can please, but in how deeply he can understand. A man who respects sacred energy knows that his own energy must be clean. If he carries anger, pride, or selfishness, that energy transfers. If he carries calm, kindness, and focus, that too transfers. This is why awareness matters. Every emotion, every intention becomes part of what is shared. The body may forget, but the energy always remembers. A man with depth does not enter to escape his emptiness. He enters to share his fullness. He brings peace, not chaos. He brings light, not need. This kind of awareness turns intimacy into meditation. It transforms the moment from a physical experience into a spiritual exchange. In that silence, Both feel something beyond themselves. They feel unity. A man who honors sacred energy does not lose himself in desire. He becomes part of something larger. The flow of life, the pulse of creation, the balance of giving and receiving. He begins to sense that this connection is not only between two people, but between the human and the divine. Honoring sacred energy also means being emotionally honest. He must bring his true self into that space. No masks, no performance. The energy of pretense is heavy, it creates distance. The energy of truth creates connection. When a man dares to be real, he allows her to be real too. Together they create a field of openness where healing and transformation can happen. In that sacred exchange, both learn something. He learns how to give without losing himself. She learns how to receive without fear. Their energies merge and expand, creating something beyond the two. This is the essence of deep connection. When two people stop being separate and begin to move as one rhythm, one breath, one heartbeat. To honor sacred energy is to carry reverence for life itself. It means to see the divine in another human being. It means to move with gratitude, not entitlement. When a man holds this understanding, every act of touch becomes prayer. Every moment becomes sacred. He begins to realize that the body is a temple, and energy is the spirit that flows within it. In this awareness he finds peace. Because he no longer seeks to possess, he seeks to understand. He no longer takes to fill himself, he gives to express what he already is. His depth is measured not in his control, but in his surrender to truth. The more he honors, the deeper he becomes. The deeper he becomes, the more healing he brings. And when he reaches that state, intimacy is no longer an act. It is an awakening. Physical union without emotional awareness leaves emptiness. Two bodies can come together, yet remain far apart. Many people confuse closeness with connection, but there is a vast difference between the two. When a man and woman share a moment of intimacy without emotional presence, the experience may satisfy the body, but it starves the soul. What remains after the heat fades is silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the hollow echo of something missing. Emotional awareness is what gives meaning to physical closeness. It is the bridge between the outer act and the inner truth. When a man enters a woman without awareness, he may feel the surface of pleasure, but he misses the depth of connection. Awareness is what turns motion into meaning. It allows him to feel her emotions, her energy, her essence. Without it, he touches the body but not the heart. To be emotionally aware means to be sensitive to the unseen. It means to notice the subtle shifts in energy, the unspoken language of breath, tension, and release. It means to feel beyond physical sensation, to sense what is alive in her, what she is giving, what she is protecting. When a man lacks this awareness, he moves through the experience blind. He may think he has shared something intimate, but in truth, he has only passed through an empty space. Emotional awareness requires openness. It asks a man to drop the walls of pride and fear, to allow himself to feel deeply. Many avoid this because feeling deeply means becoming vulnerable. Yet vulnerability is where real connection begins. When he allows himself to feel her presence, to sense her emotions, to meet her soul without defense, something shifts. The experience becomes less about performance and more about presence. Without that presence, the act becomes mechanical. It repeats a pattern of desire and release, but no transformation takes place. The body may be satisfied, but the heart remains untouched. It is like eating without tasting or speaking without listening. The emptiness that follows is not from lack of pleasure, but from lack of meaning. Because the soul always knows when something sacred has been treated as ordinary. A man who brings emotional awareness to intimacy experiences something different. He feels connection not only through touch, but through energy. He feels her emotions flow into him and his into her. In that exchange, both become part of something larger. It is not about control or conquest. It is about harmony. The more aware he is, the more he realizes that every movement carries emotion. Tenderness, trust, surrender, love. When he moves with awareness, those emotions deepen. When he moves without it, they vanish. Emotional awareness also teaches patience. It slows everything down. Instead of rushing toward an ending, he begins to value the process. The breathing, the stillness, the small moments that hold truth. In that slowing down, the heart opens. He feels the connection not as excitement but as peace. This peace is what truly fulfills both souls. It is the quiet joy of being fully seen and accepted. When emotional awareness is absent, energy becomes uneven. One gives while the other takes. One feels deeply while the other remains numb. That imbalance drains the spirit. But when awareness is present, energy flows in both directions. It nourishes rather than empties. It heals rather than hurts. It leaves both more whole than before. To cultivate this awareness, a man must learn to feel his own emotions first. He cannot understand another if he is disconnected from himself. The moment he begins to sense his own fears, desires, and tenderness, he can meet her from a place of honesty. Then the connection becomes alive. It becomes an exchange between two complete beings, rather than two lonely ones trying to fill a void. Physical union without emotional awareness creates a cycle of searching. Each time the body finds pleasure, but the heart feels nothing, the search begins again. That is why so many feel unsatisfied. Not because the act was wrong, but because the soul was missing. The body can be touched easily, but the heart requires truth. When awareness enters, emptiness disappears. The experience transforms from an act of desire to an act of presence. The connection becomes sacred again, filled with emotion, trust, and peace. It becomes something remembered not by the body, but by the soul. And in that stillness, fulfillment replaces emptiness. Respect transforms touch into spiritual harmony. When a man approaches a woman with genuine respect, everything about the experience changes. The energy softens, the silence deepens, and what was once a physical act becomes something sacred. Respect is not just about restraint or politeness. It is the understanding that what he is touching is not only flesh, but spirit. It is the realization that he has been allowed into a space that holds the essence of another human being. Her strength, her softness, her entire story. When a man moves with respect, he no longer sees intimacy as a moment to take, but as a moment to honor. His hands do not seek to own but to understand. His presence carries awareness, and his energy speaks of care. Respect is what allows two souls to meet without fear. It is what makes her heart relax, her body open, her spirit trust. Without respect, intimacy becomes empty, but with respect, it becomes a form of harmony, a dance where both energies flow freely, balanced and alive. To respect is to listen, not just to words but to energy, to breath, to silence. Every moment between two people carries signals, subtle and deep. Respect means hearing those signals and responding with sensitivity. It means not pushing when the energy says pause. It means not rushing when the soul asks for stillness. A man who understands this knows that real connection is not about how far he goes, but how deeply he feels. When respect is present, time slows down. He becomes aware of every small detail, the warmth of touch, the rhythm of breath, the heartbeat between stillness and movement. He learns to give without expecting, to touch without claiming. His energy says, "You are safe here." And in that safety, she lets go. Her trust becomes the bridge that connects their energies. Her softness responds to his awareness, and their connection becomes more than desire. It becomes communication between souls. Without respect, even the most passionate act can feel hollow. The body might react, but the heart remains closed. Respect opens that heart. It allows both to exist fully in the moment, without masks, without fear. It turns what could be ordinary into something sacred. Because respect is not just an emotion, it is a vibration. It carries calmness, strength, and humility. When that vibration enters intimacy, It aligns the two energies like music aligning to rhythm. That is what creates harmony, not effort, but understanding. A man who respects sacred energy never enters with arrogance. He does not seek to dominate or to prove anything. He understands that connection cannot be forced, it can only be invited. His awareness becomes the invitation. His patience becomes the proof. He realizes that respect is not weakness. It is the deepest form of strength. It takes strength to slow down, to feel deeply, to hold another person's vulnerability without exploiting it. When a man carries this energy, his presence changes everything. She feels his respect before he speaks. She feels it in his eyes, his touch, his stillness. That feeling awakens something within her. Not fear or resistance, but trust and flow. The body responds to respect the way flowers respond to sunlight. It opens naturally. Nothing needs to be taken, because everything begins to be shared. Respect also means being responsible for the energy he brings. If he carries frustration, she will feel it. If he carries peace, she will mirror it. When he enters with awareness and care, the experience becomes an act of healing, not harm. Both leave lighter, more alive, more connected. That is the silent gift of respect. It builds instead of breaks, it uplifts instead of consumes. Respect transforms the meaning of touch. What once might have been desire turns into devotion. Every movement becomes thoughtful. Every breath intentional. The experience stops being about reaching an end and becomes about being fully present in the journey. In that state, the body is no longer separate from the soul. The two move together as one, balanced, free, and harmonious. Through respect, the man learns something profound. That the true power of touch does not lie in force or technique, but in consciousness. When his intention is pure, when his heart is open, his touch becomes language. It speaks without words, saying, I see you, I honor you, I am here. And that silent message is what transforms the act into something divine. When respect fills the space, harmony appears naturally. There is no need to control, no need to chase. The connection breathes on its own. Both feel whole, both feel seen, both feel at peace. The moment becomes sacred not because of what they do, but because of how they are. Respect turns intimacy into understanding, and understanding into unity. What he feels depends on the peace within his soul. Every experience between two people is filtered through the inner state of those who share it. When a man enters a woman, he does not bring only his body, he brings his energy, his emotions, his past, and his level of inner peace. The quality of his connection with her mirrors the quality of his connection with himself. If he is restless inside, the moment will be restless. If he is calm, the moment will be calm. What he feels in her presence will always reflect the harmony or chaos he carries within his own heart. Peace within is not a gift that appears suddenly. It is cultivated through awareness. It is the quiet that comes when a man learns to face his own fears and desires without letting them control him. Many people enter intimacy seeking escape from loneliness, insecurity, or emptiness. They hope that closeness will silence the noise inside. But peace cannot be borrowed from another person. If his soul is unsettled, the connection will not bring clarity. It will only magnify the restlessness. When a man is at peace, his energy is steady. He does not need to prove, to take, or to perform. He simply exists in awareness, allowing the experience to unfold naturally. That stillness makes the moment deep. She can feel it in his touch, in his breath, in the rhythm of his presence. His peace becomes her comfort. His calm becomes her safety. In that state, the energy between them flows freely, creating harmony without words. Inner peace gives him sensitivity. It allows him to notice the subtle movements of energy that exist beneath the surface. He can sense what she feels, even without her saying anything. He becomes receptive rather than reactive. He does not rush or push, because he understands that connection is not a race. It is a reflection of mutual awareness. The more peaceful he is, the more deeply he can feel. Peace opens perception, and perception deepens connection. When a man lacks peace, he often confuses desire with fulfillment. He searches for meaning through intensity, thinking that more sensation equals more closeness. But the louder the body becomes, the quieter the soul feels. That is why, after the moment passes, emptiness returns. Without inner balance, even the most passionate act cannot create true satisfaction. Because peace is not something found through another. It is something shared from within. The man who carries peace into intimacy gives more than physical presence, he gives stability. His energy says, I am here, and I am not running. This steadiness allows her to let go of tension, to open without fear. The entire experience transforms from seeking pleasure to sharing peace. Every breath, every movement becomes a reminder that connection is not about escape, but about return. A return to the stillness that already lives inside both souls. Peace within also teaches him detachment, not from feeling, but from control. He understands that intimacy is not possession. It is a shared space of trust, where neither dominates and neither hides. This understanding brings softness into his energy. He no longer tries to impress or to conquer. He simply feels, listens, and allows. That allowance creates a powerful calm, a silence that is alive with presence. In that silence, both feel seen, heard, and valued. A peaceful man does not mistake vulnerability for weakness. He knows that peace gives him the courage to be open, to let love flow through him without resistance. He can hold another's emotions without fear of drowning in them. His peace becomes an anchor, grounding both energies in awareness. Even when passion rises, the calm beneath remains unbroken. This is what creates real intimacy, when desire moves through stillness, not chaos. To reach that state, a man must learn to meet himself. He must sit with his own loneliness until it softens. He must face his desires until they lose their control. He must listen to his own heart until it becomes quiet. Only then can he bring that peace into connection. Otherwise, what he feels will be confusion disguised as closeness. Peace is the difference between entering with emptiness and entering with fullness. When he carries peace within, the experience becomes sacred. He does not enter to complete himself, he enters to share himself. He does not seek to escape life, he brings life into that moment. The energy between them becomes balanced, filled with calm, trust, and presence. She feels safe to open, and he feels whole without needing more. What he feels will always be a reflection of what lives inside him. If he carries chaos, he will meet chaos. If he carries peace, he will meet peace. And when he carries peace, the connection becomes timeless. Intimacy reflects the truth of both hearts, not just bodies. When two people come together, their connection becomes a mirror. It reveals not only what they feel for each other, but who they truly are inside. The body can pretend for a moment, but energy cannot. The emotions, the intentions, the hidden fears, all of it becomes visible in the space between two souls. In that closeness, truth has nowhere to hide. What they create together is not only physical contact, it is an exchange of everything that lives within them. When a man enters a woman, he does not just bring his body, he brings his essence. His heart, his mindset, his emotional depth all flow through that moment. And she, too, reflects what she holds inside. If there is love, it will be felt. If there is pain, it will surface. If there is emptiness, it will echo. Intimacy strips away masks, not through force but through truth. The body might move, but the heart decides the meaning. A man who lives disconnected from his emotions will experience only the surface. He may believe he understands closeness, but what he touches is only sensation. Without emotional truth, connection becomes an illusion, a brief escape rather than a union. But when he comes with honesty, when his heart is open, the same act becomes something sacred. His truth meets hers, and the moment turns into an exchange of awareness, not just desire. The body is honest, it reacts to energy, not words. If there is fear, it tenses. If there is trust, it softens. The way two people move together is a language, one that speaks louder than anything they can say. When both hearts are open, the rhythm becomes gentle, balanced, alive. But when one heart is closed, the energy becomes uneven. One gives while the other withdraws. One reaches while the other hides. This imbalance reveals not failure but truth. Truth about what still needs healing. Intimacy, at its deepest level, is not just about pleasure. It is about recognition. It is about seeing yourself reflected in another. When a man touches a woman with awareness, he begins to see her emotions, her strength, her softness, and in her reflection, he sees his own nature too. The connection becomes a teacher. It shows both what love means when there are no walls. It teaches that closeness without truth is only movement. But closeness with honesty is transformation. When both hearts carry truth, the space between them becomes peaceful. There is no pretending, no competition, no fear of rejection. There is only acceptance of the moment, of each other, of themselves. This is what turns ordinary touch into something sacred. The truth flowing between two people creates harmony. Each breath, each movement becomes a statement of trust. They do not need to chase intensity, because truth itself is powerful enough to hold them. But when truth is absent, intimacy becomes confusion. The body may feel connected, but the hearts drift apart. The silence afterward becomes heavy, not peaceful. That emptiness is the soul's way of reminding them that something real was missing. Physical pleasure can distract the mind, but the heart always knows when it has not been touched. That is why so many moments feel incomplete, not because the act was wrong, but because it lacked truth. Emotional truth requires courage. It means showing who you are without hiding behind roles or desires. It means saying, through your presence, this is me, without defense. When both people bring that honesty, their connection deepens naturally. There is no need to perform or impress. The energy becomes simple, yet powerful. Each feels seen, valued, and safe. Their bodies move as one, but their hearts move even deeper. When intimacy reflects truth, it also reveals where both stand in their inner journey. It shows what they have healed and what they still carry. It brings awareness to their wounds and light to their love. In this sense, intimacy is not only connection, it is reflection. It is a mirror that helps both grow. A man who understands this begins to approach closeness with mindfulness. He sees that every moment of touch is an opportunity to learn, to feel, to become more whole. The more truthful the heart, the more sacred the connection. Because when both stand in honesty, there is no fear of losing, no need to hide. The truth gives them freedom. The freedom to experience love without walls, to express emotion without restraint, to meet each other beyond the surface of the body. Intimacy that flows from truth does not end when the act ends. Its energy lingers. It becomes a quiet warmth within both souls, reminding them that they have shared something real, something beyond the ordinary. In that truth, two hearts finally meet as one. Awareness turns passion into a moment of awakening. When awareness enters intimacy, everything changes. What was once simply movement becomes meaning. What was once driven by desire becomes guided by consciousness. Awareness is the silent witness that transforms the act from instinct to understanding, from physical connection to spiritual expansion. It allows both souls to see beyond the body and to touch the essence of each other. When a man enters a woman with awareness, he is not lost in impulse. His mind is quiet, his breath steady, and his energy grounded. He is not trying to achieve, to prove, or to take. He is fully present. Awareness is not about control, it is about connection. It is the ability to feel every layer of the moment. The emotion, the trust, the rhythm, the stillness. When awareness is alive, passion no longer burns wildly, it glows steadily, lighting both souls from within. Without awareness, passion becomes a fire that consumes rather than warms. It may bring excitement, but it cannot bring peace. It rises quickly and fades just as fast. Many chase this fire, believing it to be fulfillment, but awareness reveals that real fulfillment does not come from intensity. It comes from depth. Awareness slows everything down, allowing both to feel what is truly happening. Every touch becomes deliberate. Every breath becomes shared. Every heartbeat becomes communication. Through awareness, a man begins to see the sacredness of what he is part of. He realizes that intimacy is not just pleasure. It is an exchange of life energy. Each movement sends ripples through both souls. Each breath intertwines their existence for that moment. When he is aware, he honors that exchange. He does not rush it or treat it casually. He feels the power of what is unfolding and becomes gentle, calm, and attentive. Awareness reveals that passion is not something to chase, but something to experience fully. When the mind is still and the heart open, passion becomes a doorway. It opens into a deeper sense of presence. A state where both feel not only connected to each other, but also to something greater than themselves. In that stillness, the separation between giver and receiver fades. The energy flows freely, balanced and alive. Both become part of one continuous motion, one shared breath, one unified awareness. This awareness brings sensitivity. It teaches that every touch carries intention, that every moment has energy. When he moves with awareness, his actions are no longer unconscious. He listens, not with his ears but with his whole being. He senses her rhythm, her comfort, her emotion. He adjusts, not because he is trying to please, but because he feels the energy guiding him. This listening turns passion into harmony. Nothing is forced. Everything flows. Awareness also brings humility. The more he feels, the more he understands how vast the experience truly is. He realizes that connection is not something he controls, but something he participates in. Awareness makes him grateful. It turns the act into meditation. In that state, every sensation becomes sacred, every silence meaningful. There is no need to reach a goal, because the moment itself is complete. When awareness is absent, the act ends quickly, and the connection fades. But when awareness is present, time disappears. The body may move, but the soul feels still. The connection deepens until the boundaries between self and other begin to blur. It is no longer about two people, but about one energy expressing itself through two forms. That is the essence of awakened intimacy. When passion becomes the path, and awareness becomes the guide. Awareness does not remove passion, it refines it. It makes it pure, purposeful, and healing. The fire of desire becomes light instead of smoke. It illuminates both souls, revealing emotions long hidden. It creates a space where love is not something spoken, but something felt deeply, wordlessly. When a man enters with that awareness, he does not just touch the body, he touches the soul. He awakens something ancient, something peaceful, something divine. Through awareness, he learns that the deepest pleasure comes not from taking but from being. The more present he is, the more alive everything becomes. Every breath turns into gratitude, every movement into understanding. The passion remains, but now it carries peace instead of restlessness. It is no longer a fire to burn, but a flame to guide. Awareness transforms intimacy into awakening. It reminds both that what they share is more than touch. It is truth, reflection, and connection. And in that awakening, passion becomes eternal. In the end, every connection between a man and a woman is far more than the meeting of bodies. It is the meeting of energies, of emotions, and of truth. Each moment of intimacy reflects awareness, respect, and peace within. When a man enters with presence, humility, and love, the act becomes sacred. It becomes a mirror showing who he truly is and what he carries inside. Through awareness, desire turns into harmony. Through respect, touch becomes healing. Through peace, both souls find unity. True intimacy is not about taking, it is about understanding. It is not about seeking more, it is about being more. More aware, more gentle, more real. When two people meet with open hearts, they rise together. They create not just a moment, but a memory that leaves both transformed. So carry this understanding forward, that every act, every touch, every breath can be sacred if you bring awareness to it. Let connection be guided by respect, and let passion be lit by peace. In doing so, you do not just share love, you become love itself. Thank you for walking through this journey of reflection and depth. May your connections always be filled with understanding, balance, and truth. Wishing you peace, awareness, and harmony in every step of your path. Good luck and thank you.